I don't know how you guys feel, but I feel like when I was 18, I had like a really good idea of what my life is going to look like. By the time I get to like my late 20s, which is where I am right now, I would have a house, I would have sorted out my career, I would have known where I want to be in life, that kind of like 5-year plan. Where do you see yourself in 5 years? I would have got it all sorted out. It would have made me feel like I'm one of those adults that's got like everything under control and just knows adulting to a T. Instead, now I'm here, almost 28, and I am planning to pack up my life and move back to live with my parents. And I also feel like I'm just questioning everything that I thought I knew in the kind of past 10 years. And the more I think about it all, the more I feel like it's probably a lot more normal than people like to admit. When you're growing up and you're a child and you talk to other like adults and people in their 20s, it almost feels like everyone tries to sell you your 20s as like the time you're figuring everything out, you know what you're gonna do, you know where you wanna be in life. It feels like you're kind of supposed to like find a partner, buy a house, find your right career path, settle down and just build your whole life and prepare for the years to come. And it feels like you're kind of making all those decisions when you've only just come out of teenagehood. Like it feels like, you're like 18, you've just finished being a teenager and going through that really kind of weird period in your life. And now you're kind of going into having to decide whether you want to do like an apprenticeship, although some people already have to decide that way before 18. You have to decide what you want to do at uni. If you do that in England, for example, you're going to have a shit ton of debt by the time you get out. You're supposed to decide like your general career, because just because you decide to study something at uni doesn't mean you're going to do that career in the long run. So you're supposed to find out, what job you want to go into, but then while you're doing that, where you're trying to get onto the career ladder, you're also supposed to save up a load of money to buy a house and get on the property ladder as well. You're also supposed to find your perfect partner that you want to spend your whole life with. You're supposed to decide if you want to have children, how many children you want to have, and then you have to be lucky that your partner wants the same things in life. So it's just a lot. It feels like it's a lot, at least for me. All of that is supposed to happen with like no pressure attached, and like it's just casual, and you're also supposed to have fun during your 20s because it's like the kind of cool chill time in your life. And yeah, it's just a bit of a strange decade, I think. When you're like younger and you look at people in their 20s, you think, oh, they've got it all figured out, like they know what they're gonna do, they just seem cool as a cucumber, and they just seem like, yeah, they've got stuff under control, like those swans where like on top they look really chill and calm, but then obviously on the bottom they're like paddling loads and swimming. It looks like it's all under control, but below the surface there's a lot more going on, and most people are not really talking about it. Now that I'm kind of living through that, just because people seem confident and seem like they've got their stuff figured out doesn't mean they do. And it also is like, you are always making the decisions at the time with the information that you've got. Nobody actually genuinely knows what they're doing. They're just working with the information they have and just hoping they're making the right decision. A really difficult part of your 20s, at least for me, is your dreams and your aspirations and your goals change. So for me, for example, I moved to England when I was 18. I really wanted that. I really wanted to just be away. And now it feels like a decade later, my plans just completely changed, and what I want has just completely changed. So when I was 18 and when I was younger, I was working with the information and with the experiences, my lived experiences that I had at the time. And obviously 10 years down the line, all of that has changed. All of those experiences have changed. The information that I have has changed. 10 years ago, I really wanted independence and to just be free. So that is why I moved to England. That is what I wanted to achieve at the time. And of course I have achieved that. And of course, definitely have got what I wanted out of this experience. At the time, I wanted adventure. I wanted to not just prove to myself that I can do this, but also prove it to like my parents and maybe like my family as well. I just wanted to prove to everyone that I can live by myself, that I can gain the independence and that I'm going to be fine, and that people can trust me with the stuff that I want and the ideas and the decisions that I've made, that they are fine and that they are right. Like 10 years ago you would have told me, or even if for whatever reason I would have had to move back to live with my parents 10 years ago, or like a year after, for example, when I finished being an au pair, if I then had to move back to live with my parents, I would have definitely felt like I failed. Like I would have felt like this has not worked out. If I now move back, everyone's going to be like, oh, what the hell? Like, she's come back, she has turned around on her word, she can't really live by herself, she's not really independent, and she can't be trusted. And yeah, it would have just felt like I failed in like the general sense. And it's so weird because now I'm looking at it completely different, because of course I'm doing the exact thing that I thought would have meant failure 10 years ago. So I am moving back now, I am moving to live with my parents. And it's so weird how literally the same situation can mean something very different depending on where you are in your life. In a way, back then, moving away represented freedom for me. But now, moving back represents freedom in a sense, because I'm free to do what I want, and I'm, you know, moving back to my parents will, in the long run, give me the freedom that I'm wanting to achieve, that I, at the moment, can't really get to with the position that I am in. Because of course, moving to live with my parents and, you know, moving in with them is gonna give us that financial freedom, and it's gonna allow us to fulfill the plans and the dreams that we have in the long run. So that very much is freedom, and it means freedom to us. This whole situation is something that I have definitely sort of been thinking about quite a lot recently. Sometimes we become so attached to like a certain idea or a certain plan in our life that it feels like we don't give ourselves permission to challenge that, or to not go ahead with what we said we'd do and not sort of change the initial plan that we had, because we then think to ourselves that we are somehow a failure if we don't do what we said we would do. And especially because in the general society, and this always depends on where you are, but for example in the society here in England, you know, buying a house in your 20s, that is just what you do. So people don't really question it, and whether it's right or wrong doesn't really matter. That's not up to debate at the moment, but it's just in general, you know, just an example that everyone just kind of does it, but a lot of people don't really question it, and a lot of people might not want to buy a house, but because everyone around them is doing it, they don't want to seem like a failure if they don't do it. Changing our minds is just part of being human, isn't it? It doesn't mean you failed. It just means that maybe you've learned something else along the line, or maybe you've got more like new information that you're working with that's made you want to change your plan. And that's completely fine, that's completely okay. Another thing that's, you know, really difficult, not just in your 20s, but I feel like just in general being a human, is we always compare ourselves. We always compare ourselves with the next person, with what we see on social media, with what our friends are doing, what our family is doing. Sometimes we even force into in comparison. Like, you know, if some of your family members might say to you, oh, your cousin is doing this and this, and they're the same age as you, and they've achieved that already, why haven't you achieved that? And like little things like that, which are not really little things, but you know, at first they might seem like little things, but it like kind of accumulates, doesn't it? Because you start comparing yourself, other people compare yourself. So it's easy to think that you are not achieving what you should be by societal standards. I know that I have done that so many times, and that's part of the reason why I sort of, in my personal life, don't really engage with social media anymore, because, you know, you open Instagram, you open Facebook. I mean, not a lot of people our age use Facebook, but, you know, people do still use Facebook. Or you open TikTok, you open any kind of, even YouTube, you open anything up, and you watch people have babies, get married, renovate this, Victorian house that they've bought, and you just think to yourself, am I like behind? Am I failing? Am I not achieving what I should be achieving in this kind of time frame that I've given myself, or that other people have put myself into? It just feels odd. But then I do try to kind of stop myself and be like, hold on a second. Who am I behind to? Whose timeline am I living in? Am I living in my own timeline, or am I living in someone else's timeline that someone else has put onto me? Who said that by 28 you need to have a house, you need to be married, or you need to have traveled the world? I mean, it doesn't even have to be these kind of I suppose I'm going to call it typical, but it's not really typical things like married, house. But it can also be things like traveling the world, because the amount of people that I've met that, you know, by the age of 18 even, or when they are 18, they've already traveled like Southeast Asia, and it's like, whoa, like I've only ever been out of Europe once and that was last year. So, you know, it just makes you think like, okay, like I feel like I'm not enough in a way. You stop and question it and you think, who set these time frames? We've sort of inherited them. Having inherited them from other people in the society, of course it's going to give us anxiety. Of course it's going to make us feel like we're not enough, because we are trying to fit into someone else's definition of what success should look like. I do feel like now, the older I'm getting, and the more I'm kind of trying to question these timelines that we put ourselves into, I'm starting to see that success is a very personal thing, and it's a very personal thing for everyone, what success should look like or what success could look like in your 20s. And in my personal life, success doesn't really look like having millions and, you know, billions or however much money in your bank account, or having the biggest house on the road. To me personally, success is starting to look like freedom and having choices and being able to make choices, and not being in a position where you are put in a box and you have to stay in that box because you've put yourself into it, but you have choice and you have freedom. And if that freedom and choice looks like you want to buy a house, then so be it. That is absolutely fine. For me personally, it looks more like traveling and having the choice to go traveling, but then also having the choice of, I want to spend time with my loved ones, and I have the time and freedom to spend time with my loved ones whenever I want to. It's also just a life that really feels like mine. For you, it might look completely different. For you, your personal choice is completely different to what mine is. That is just my version of success. I think your 20s are probably less about finding yourself and more about letting go of those expectations that you've picked up along the way growing up. Those expectations can be from school, they can be from society, they can be from uni, they can be from any places that you've been in, all the way up to where you are now. People do start just asking themselves, where do I want to be? Is this where I want to be? And in my position, you know, moving to Germany, I've had to start asking myself those questions, and I've had to start asking, what do I want my life to look like? Ask yourself, what kind of lifestyle do I want? What kind of life do I generally want to live? And I do feel like, although I'm very clear that I want choice and I want to be able to choose my life, I still don't really have all the answers. And to be honest, I'm not even 28. Of course I'm not going to have all the answers. And how do we expect 18-year-olds to have all the answers? Everyone always expects you to have all the answers, and to kind of, going back to the beginning of the video, to stick with the answers and the choices that you've made early on in your life. And being uncertain and having uncertainty, I feel like it's a really, really bad reputation in our society. And I get it, because it feels like, you know, making wrong choices in your life can be detrimental in certain situations, and depending on the position that you're in your life. So it does make sense that people worry to make the wrong choice. But when you are in a society like ours, where there is unlimited choices, of course you're going to worry, is this the right decision that I'm making? And you know, with social media being so big and us having everything, or being able to have anything and everything we want, of course we get decision fatigue in our day-to-day, and it's easy to just swim along with the rest of the group. We can just switch our mindsets to thinking, you know, uncertainty just means that you're still growing, you're still deciding, you're still thinking, and that's fine, that's okay. Nobody expects you to have, or at least you shouldn't really have, a fixed mindset. And it's good to have a growth mindset and to be thinking and questioning your life. It can also mean that you're paying attention to the different choices that people have. You're not just following a path that everyone else has paved. If I think back and say if I could go back 10 years ago and speak to my 18-year-old self, would I stop her from going and moving to England, knowing that she will change her mind 10 years down the line? No, absolutely not. I would not do that, because moving away 10 years ago has brought me where I am right now. I would just let her do it, and I would just, you know, say, look, you might change your mind down the line, but that's okay. Life can't always go according to plan and according to how you want it to go. And sometimes the best things really do happen when you haven't planned for them. England was never really supposed to become my home. I was never really supposed to find my boyfriend here. I was never really supposed to settle down and build a life here. I was not really supposed to become a social worker, and I never thought I would spend 10 years of my life here. Life just happened while I was so busy trying to plan everything. That's the kind of lesson that I've learned from my 20s. Your 20s aren't really the decade where everything falls into place and everything goes according to your plan that you've made when you were 18. I think that your 20s are probably the decade where you just slowly discover what actually is meaningful to you and what actually is important to you, what actually matters. And to be honest, that is probably a lot more of an interesting journey than everything going according to plan and you having everything figured out. I'd love to hear your thoughts on how your 20s are supposed to be, or how you are experiencing your 20s, or if you are already past your 20s, how did that go? Do you agree with the kind of ideas and thoughts that I've shared in this video? Are they the thoughts and ideas that you also had? And if you are 18, what do you think? How are your 20s going to go? What is your plan? I would love to hear from you guys. Thank you, bye.